Okay. It should be starting in like 5 seconds. Let me check the Twitch. We got to figure out like the waiting screen maybe. YouTube's not live for me. Twitch seems good. Hola. That was Monsieur Fushark. Who
Nice.
else we got in here? I see three. I see three bodies. Could be like the moderator bot, me. Yeah, me, Fu.
Yeah.
YouTube should actually announce. The last two streams, I kept forgetting to put it on public. It's been going to like unlisted, and then the next day I would have to set it to go live. Now it should
I've
be
announced
live.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're live on YouTube. So there we go.
Hooray.
So we'll give that a second to see what Fu says over there. Make sure we're good. We're so into checking it because there have been times where we went live to stream, never checked the audio. We're like, man, that was a great time. Like, can't wait till we just put it up on there as content, and it's just like muted, talking to like nothing, just audio.
You should have been there.
Yeah, you should have been there. You could have heard all the audio. Mr. Fu, we good on YouTube? Yeah, we'll post this to the giant blog we're editing to add all the GMs that have signed up. I think, hey, zombie, this feels right. Seems like still the glitchiness. Yeah, I don't know what. Twitch is fine. YouTube is like kicking rocks on us. I'm sure it's a
That
setting.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, cool. So we might as well get the show rolling. So welcome RT. Thank you for taking some time to meet with us here. Yeah, so official. So official now. For those who
Right.
will watch us on video at some point, we do this every week, at least until February, to take time to meet with some of the GMs from the D20 cruise. GMRT here. Last week was Dan Devine. We had Rich Howard. J Africa is in the lineup. He was supposed to be last week, and now he's in February. We'll get him. And then we'll probably try out some of the other crew. Like we have some Wrath and Glory GMs from the Battle Barge cruise. Like DJs from GakuCon. It's just overall this whole thing was started because like we work with a lot of cool people that do like really cool stuff. Like last year, URT, you made like the pamphlet for your adventures and stuff like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
we're gonna pick your brain and we're gonna steal your knowledge and disseminate it over the web, so the collective of gamers and geeks can become as cool as you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Well, glad to be here. Yeah, it's always a pleasure and such. This will be what, my fourth year down going with you guys?
Yeah, you were one of the first year ones, right? You were 2023 to date.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep. Oh, it must make sense too because like you were from the when we were on the West Coast originally. Yeah,
Los Angeles, yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Which
home plate.
I think 2027 is going to be out of there again. Yeah.
That's gonna be dangerous because I could bring all my tile stuff and my biggins. So
Much more
be
travel
warned.
friendly. I'll have to
Oh yes.
verify, but I'm pretty sure like we had a Los Angeles pop up back again on there because we migrate wherever the ships are with the biggest conference centers.
Yes, we
Yeah,
need the
so
dungeons.
yeah, and I remember Jay was the first person. Jay Africa was the first GM that I reached out to, mostly because you guys have an LA D&D meetup group.
Mhm.
So when we were doing the first one, I was like, okay, well let me see who's got a handle on GM, so we could recruit locally, get everyone on the boat, give this D&D thing a shot at sea. And then I think he recommended a couple of you from there, and then we put out like a call. And most of the GMs, if you are interested in becoming a GM, we do take applications. But how it works is basically every 12 guests we get, because like RT will have two groups of six, a day group and a night group. So every 12 guests that come on to the D20 cruise, we say, hey, we need a new GM. And then we give the GMs from the prior year right of first refusal. So if RT said, I'm good this year, then we'll fill his spot or try with someone else as best as we can. But generally, that's how it works. So we have a lot of people that are usually interested in GMing, but we try to keep it like as loyal as we can without being like, oh, we're going to cycle through a bunch of people. Hi, food. Diff is duff. Diff is duff. Let's see. Well, cool. So that being said, that's a history on that. Now, what I have you here, of course, as I was saying, is to pick your brain. So one of the first things that I like to start with is basically learning your origin story, be it villain or hero, on what got you into D&D and what that was kind of like. If you could take yourself back to that time and remember what got you into it, how you kind of felt about it, and like just how you evolved to here to this exact moment as a GM that goes onto a cruise and professionally GMs.
All right, only an hour, right?
Only an hour. Speed run.
All right, I'll steal as much time as you can give me. But so Unfortunately, I was born in between generations of my family, so I was always too young to hang out with my parents' cousins, and my actual cousins didn't come out to almost like I was 10 or 11 years old. My sister, being like 10 years younger, is definitely the one that looks at me the oddest when she saw all the things I was getting into, but more of that later. Uh, it was a summer camp run by USC. They were doing all sorts of things: paper making,
Oh
book
wow.
making, obviously cards, rockets, and stuff like that. They decided to have a course during summer on robotics. I took it the first year; it was really great. Second year, took it and such. I got to meet this individual who's working with Jet Propulsion Laboratories on this robot that was going through the 3 stages of intelligence, like a lizard brain, ape brain, human brain, and navigating these neural passageways. And he says, like, yeah, I got the idea from when I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I went, Dungeon is, huh? I've never heard of this game before. And like 11, 12-year-old me. I asked my parents about it. They knew nothing. A couple weeks later, got to school, middle school and such, asked my teacher, knew nothing about it. All my other teachers, nothing. The librarian knew nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, what's going on? I feel like I tripped and fell behind like the grid walls
Mm-hmm.
by knowing this information. I'm like, all right. It wasn't until a trip to the Glen Galleria, and if you ever seen the movie Cloak and Dagger, they actually have it there, the original Gamekeeper stores. And these were like high-end chess sets that were selling, all sorts of role-playing games, fancy like poker chips and such. But the thing that got me was they used to have a pair of double Queen of Hearts oaken doors, bigger than life.
Oh
And
wow.
that forever is burned into my mind and such. And we start talking and such, and sure enough, they had the books there. I mean, not knowing too much about the whole satanic panic at the time, because no, like 11, not even 13 yet this time, was like, oh, golly gee, this is the best thing ever. The person behind the counter didn't know I needed a special set of dice with numbers on it.
Oh,
Instead, sold me a new, different game made by this TSR known as Dragon Dice. And they have
Dragon
D4s,
Dice.
they have D6s, they have D8s, they have D10s, D12s, all with icons for attack, movement, defense, faces, and such, but no D20. And for the next 3, 4 years, I'm trying to make this book make sense with this. It was not working out. It was like stereo instructions at this point. It wasn't until I went to high school that the upperclassmen saw what I was trying to do, and they were like, "Oh, oh, oh, no, come with us, come with us, come with us. We
That's
will teach
funny.
you the ways." And sure enough, got hooked up with a group of seniors, juniors during this club at high school where they did chess and checkers, archery. They would make weapons for theater. So they have the full-on guillotines, there's battle axes and swords and shields.
Oh, sick.
It's also TC, everything from like Spellfire to Magic the Gathering, and including Dungeons and Dragons and every other role-playing game out there. I finally found my people, and they were the ones who finally kind of got me into the game and started
Yeah,
getting into that.
man.
Yeah.
So I'm
So,
looking at the Dragon Dice, and it shows, like you said, like swords and double skulls and little axes and things like that.
oh yeah,
How how were you making that work? I'm curious on like because you have like the D&D book was still telling you like number values where you're just like if I
yeah,
get a sword, that's a hit. If I get the double axe, it's a crit.
yeah. I mean, the translation isn't one to one, but there's still elves. There are dwarves in there. There's goblins. There's one of the races you can play and such. And the way it would play is I would have use them as different icons, which is a lot of foreshadowing later on when it's run for the kids. But each die represents a little person and how they would move and things like that. And then when it came to conflict, they would have to roll. And depending if they rolled swords, shields, or movement, would depend if they attack, defend, or run away.
Okay. Oh man, you were playing like a heavily modded version of D&D and D and you didn't even know, but you made it work.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, that
mm-hmm.
definitely was foreshadowing for what was to come, right? Like making the game work for you.
As
Yeah.
well as the fact that finding a lot of people who had no knowledge of what this game was about and then
Yeah.
slowly becoming educated. And
Yeah. I mean,
when I was with,
how long was it between getting the first game and Dragon Dice? Because you said you were 11 at the time, and then you said your upperclassmen in high school were the ones that helped you out.
yeah,
Okay, so
so
it was
no,
quite a few years of. Mhm.
about 3, not quite 4, because when I was there and such, the aircrafts were there. They were running all sorts of games and such.
Yeah.
They got me into the club as a freshman, and then it went light bulb moment.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
D20 numbers. I'm gonna do math, aren't I?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it is crazy that you went through that many years of like probably people interacting with it and being and not knowing, right? Because it was still a pretty new thing going on.
Yeah.
Man, not anymore. Everything's D20s. Yeah. Okay, so little RT got into D&D. You kind of had to figure out your way there until you found your tribe, um, early on. So between then and when you first had your what you would consider a pro GM game or your first guests that like weren't a home group that you were like introducing to the game or that like paid you or were like, hey, we heard about this game, would you run it for us? And then how did that feel? Like, what was your setup and like what was the general vibes going on there?
So that kind of comes out in two different stories.
Hmm.
Because technically, I became a professional dungeon master, courtesy of Wizards of the Coast, back in 2000.
Oh, nice.
And what ended up happening was, okay, same upperclassmen, they told me about a bunch of the stores in the local area. They told me about the Last Grandier at Burbank, Games in Westwood, Buffalo Horse Channel over here, Arrow Hobbies, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and why it was so important. But then I was kind of meandering around in Santa Monica, and I found myself in front of a Wizard of the Coast store. This is like circa 1999, or yeah, 1999, 2000. And I was just enamored by it because it felt so familiar. And I was going through the shelves and such and see like how everything was done, the chess sets, or just like, and to finally ask, and just like, hey, this is not a gamekeeper store, is it? And sure enough, they said, oh yeah, that's our sister store over in Century City and West Side Pavilion too. And I'm like, wait, I spent as much time as I could there. And unfortunately, I have this story. It is a little controversial depending on who you talk to and such.
Ooh.
But so before I was hired, morning weekend and such,
Mhm.
the assistant manager locked up his doorbell. The manager was out on vacation for Memorial Day weekend and such, and I was hanging out with both third keys. The next morning, they opened the shop and such, and a couple dozen Dreamcasts, PS2s, and 64s from the manager's room were gone.
Ooh.
And so not only do we find out that at the time of the place small, had dummy cameras everywhere. They did not actually have a live feed for security,
Oh my god.
but everyone was pointing fingers at each other, and all management could do was just like, no, what, all of you out.
Mm.
And so in comes this new manager from Northern California named Linda and such. She is like the epitome of a cadet mother. It's like she's used to handling a whole bunch of customers at the same time and such. And I've learned so much from her and such. But she saw that I was always hanging around. And she was like, well, if you're going to hang around, I'm just put you to work. You know what? Here, I'll hire you as seasonal help. Do me a favor. If any customer comes in and they ask how to play a game, and as long as we have an extra copy, feel free to demo it. I'm just, oh, it was awesome.
Wow.
Cool. Learn how to play craniums, categories, every single board game and such, back my skills on chess and such. And then I think it was shortly after Halloween, a pair of adults come in and they were looking through the RPG section and they're like, hey, can you tell us anything about Dungeons and Dragons? And I'm like, boy, dude, I got the stories for you. And I looked over to Linda and it's just like, hey, Linda, do you mind if I demo Dungeons and Dragons? She's like, yeah, go ahead, go have fun. I'm like, oh, sweet. Wait, I'm getting paid for this? Oh, sweet. Let's go.
So you just jump straight in. You're like opportunity, we're doing it.
And
You could have paid it forward and gave them like, oh, you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons? Here's the book and here's some dragon dice.
they stopped making it when I finally
Oh.
started making
Okay, so you got your first group that basically said like, hey, we're interested, and you were like, I'm seizing the bull by the horn. So you grab a basic set. Like, what did you grab and run for them, or what were you? Oh,
Actually, I think it's my shelf still.
like this was the actual thing from back in 2000.
Yep.
We're getting the OG, which oh yeah, there we go. We're getting for
Mm-hmm.
context. Critical Role didn't even start until 2005,
Yep.
so you were
And so
preceding them on
actually,
the edge here.
I might have actually sold them a couple books because shortly afterwards, I became the third key, the assistant manager, and then manager of both the Wizard Coast store in Santa Monica and the gamekeeper in West End Pavilion. So there's a good chance a good amount of the people we watch bought their books from me,
You were the
especially
merchant.
the Book of Wild Darkness because it can only sold to adults. And I had to check IDs.
Uh, so you were their shopping episode before they even knew that they were going to hit it big.
Yeah, probably. I, I run through the cast and they're like, "Why do you look so familiar?" I'm like,
I don't know. You want to buy something right now? Like,
"Oh, I mean,
so
probably have some on my shelf."
you ran them through the through that edition. Do you remember? I mean, you just jumped into it. You didn't have any like foreplanning for it or anything, right? Man, so
Nope.
that's very different than the interview so far because a lot of people like they had lead up times. I mean, like it doesn't even sound like you really had nerves about it. Like you
Nope.
just well, there we go. So you're
It
the
was just
exception
independent
to
come in. You're like, hey, can we play? And I'm like, sure, got you this.
yeah.
And funny thing about that is when it became a third key, obviously there's a system, whole thing how this works with the SKUs and stuff like that. I found out that SKU 9999997 was a SKU for a pizza party, and was the case.
Oh, okay.
$4 would get you 2 liters of Coke, a couple pizzas, and then whatever game you wanted, you can then play with one of us, being the associates working there, will be actually host the game. Those are great for like
Oh, wow.
kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my mind started getting an idea. I was like, hey, what if we start running D&D on a weekly basis?
Which
And I was getting paid by
mhm.
Wizards of the Coast to run this
Yeah.
as I was stocking shelves.
Yeah. No, that's like as legit as it gets like for a professional GM.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so we covered nerves on that. Do you remember what was it just that one session originally, like when they came in, were they just demoing it and or how long did it take between that and where you were running the games full time more or less? Not full time, but consistently at the store.
About 2 weeks.
But okay, RT's working on an accelerated schedule here.
It was about 2 weeks because those folks came in, and then a few others, my friends, they were kind of just hanging out. We were playing Magic at the time, and we started running D&D games. And then we also expanded to other things. We even tried running, was it the price test system or Big Eye Small Eye, as it's also known as. We did a bunch of other things with Palladium, GURPS. It was just a whole renaissance for me at that point. Because this is stuff that I actually learned back in high school, but I finally got to share with my new friends as an adult, which was really great.
Okay, so it even sounds like so you're running the games there. How long did it take you to do your private games at home, or were you running those concurrently?
Those didn't come out until fourth edition started hitting, and that's when I started doing. At that point, the Wizards Coast stores were closed down. More stories about that, but for a different day. And then was hired out by an anime store. Was running tournaments with them too, and also running more Big Ass Mouth because it made sense. We were doing a bunch of like space opera adventures and that.
Oh, cool.
Then got hired by Sony, and at that point they needed all my time being part of facilities.
Yeah.
And that's when the home game started, and this new edition, the fourth edition, came out. And the same problem already happens. They were like, "I want to play. We need Dungeon Master," and they all looked at me, and I'm going like, "Let's go."
I guess that's me. Okay, so you're the first backwards one out of the interviews here, as far as going like pro really quickly, no time to think. To your private games came after your pro stint. Like you had a startup, you had your OG story, which was
Yeah.
D&D modified by Dragon Dice, and then your tribe got you onto the D20 system.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go.
Finally.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. This is an interesting way onto it. You're definitely the first one that I've heard about this, so this is cool. So out of all of this, like you've had a lot going on, right? Like so this is let's say up to your private games you had started with Sony. So up until this point, what would you say was like your most impressive or interesting moment that you remember fondly? Like when you sat back and like, wow, this is like amazing. I love this hobby. It's hard.
There's a
It doesn't even
lot.
have to be a single moment, even if it's a theme of things. Like what really stirs you when you play this?
Honestly, it's probably a lot of the emotional connection that I always remember and such. I always remember the little kids when they finally get that whole "I got it" moment, and they realize they can start warping the story and such. There's one story I have where one of the guys that were playing, this is fourth edition. We're trying to figure out the new system and how to make it work. We're realizing it's D&D the board game. We just tell stories and then maybe check for power if it makes sense. But it's not about it. Where she was joining us and the rest of the group on the west side of town. Unbeknownst to us, her boyfriend at the time was taking this time to cheat on her.
Oof.
And he was part of the group. He started kind of backing away. We didn't know what was going on, such we realized after the fact. Until finally it got to the point where they got caught. And his character was still in the game. He was in the storyline. At that point, because he wasn't playing, I've already turned to a villain. It was Keep on the Shadowfield. And he was already like turned, like there was a house on the trail on Haunted Hill style and such into the evil villain and such. And it was, as we were playing through the game and such, obviously she had moved back home to the East Coast and such. And I realized I had the perfect timing and opportunity to give this person the catharsis to actually move on, even though she's leaving all her friends to the West Coast behind. And it was this great play. It was like this epic fight showdown between her and him. She was like a clerk of, I don't remember what it was, but she was a CalStar cleric, and so she had the two minds going on inside, and she always had this bad feeling in the back of her head, how he was going to turn. And we invented new powers. We made her level 20 for that one encounter, and burned out all her power. And at the end, only the CalStar memory was all that reside, but got rid of not just him, but completely the rest of the story.
Oh man,
So,
that is cathartic.
yeah, it was
As
one of
you
those
did
things.
that.
Everyone in the room was just like tears going on, then all the
Yeah,
hugs and stuff like that, and going like, "Did we just do that? Yeah,
that's
we did."
that's literally slaying your own demons at that point, right? Yeah, it is a beautiful game because of that. The things that you can accomplish through like storytelling and connection. It's really hard to beat. Like I love video games, but you know, something about TTRPGs when you really connect and you find like people that you're playing with, or you're willing to expand yourself to play with other people. It's never going to be perfect, and you're never going to always have those moments, but you get a lot of them, which is really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's super awesome as far as the best memory goes, man. Oof. So the big question that I get to ask people and kind of see like where their creative wishes are is, if I had a moon full of money and I let you take a crack at the moon full of money and said you have no time constraint nor budget, what gaming or related adjacent project would you create given all the time and money? Could be with an existing IP, you have no restrictions, or your own IP.
So aside from like finishing off my folklore degree and such, I want to buy a mall.
Oh,
Like mall would be a good size.
okay,
And of course,
okay.
we usually have free series and such, but
Uh-huh.
I want to do something a little different. Obviously, malls, as we know them, are no longer the malls we used to have, or at least the ones that I flourished in back in the day. I was totally a mall rat. But top floor, obviously, you're going to have the food court. You got to have a lot of savories and sweets and such. But instead of having different stores and shops and such, I want creative classes. Individuals kind of show off what they're doing to other individuals, especially with kiddos. We didn't get a chance to talk about like how we got involved with the kids game and how I became a babysitter to 70 kids, but more of
Oh
that later.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and whatnot, and have different things and such. Usually there's anchor stores either side, but I want to replace with theaters, one the live stage for like book readings and things like that. The other one showing classics like Godzilla films and all the movies from like the 80s and 90s that well Ruth and such. Bottom level, I have like kiosks for like different things you need, dice bags, weapons and things like that. This all makes sense. And have, if at the bottom stores, escape rooms where basically it's kind of like LARP and like D&D rolled together and such, where you
Oh
actually have
wow.
different events and such.
Yeah.
And I want to basically be a place where individuals can definitely come in, show off their creative needs, teach classes, and all that. With this twist, as I realizing as most of the individuals are starting to get a little bit of the gray, I want the second level to be a retirement home for gamers.
Oh man, I'm in.
Because we have so many well-versed individuals that I've come across who are definitely on the older side, who have these great stories to tell, but I want them to be able to pass on to the next generation. And also in place for the next generation, to finally go to a place where, hey, I've heard this game called Dungeons and Dragons. What's it about? And have people go, we will teach you, come with us.
Completely. That'd be a great use to do with the elders in the hobby teaching the new generations. Yeah,
Mhm,
not to mention
mhm.
that is like you know what I love about the idea is there's a drought of like third spaces for people in general like to connect nowadays because everything's becoming increasingly digital. So it creates that like atmosphere for people, be it like LARPers, geeks in general. Like we're very strong at networking. We're very hard to get to the network, right?
Yep.
So it's a cool thing to have this. So we had Zombie said, "So can we have this set in like 15 years?" Like you're getting customers here to retire. We joke about that a lot about like senior homes are
Yeah.
going to be amazing for the gaming generation because like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I get bored at senior homes and I am going to be LAN partying, TTRPGing, like it's going to be amazing." So if I got a mall to live on top of, West March's campaign every day. Let's go.
And you
Yeah.
go get your pizza, you get your Cinnabon at the same time and such, as well as a good cup of coffee. It'd be perfect.
Dude, my whole day would just be like wake up, go out of the elevator, go down, hit the shops, maybe do a little LARP for my fitness, go up, have dinner, loop back around and play games at night.
Yeah, and check out the kiosks for new dice or things like that. And oh, hey, there's new foam battle axe. Let's go.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty rad. Especially it said, can we also have laser tag?
I mean, obviously, it's going to be like one of the theaters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like flex space, right? So you can use a lot of it. Ultimately, that's why like the cruise thing is cool. And I'm not even gonna lie, like our ambition is if we're ever fortunate enough to get like one full ship charter and then eventually enough, we would honestly look into buying a cruise ship to do just silly stuff with it for that exact purpose. A mall would be awesome, like
Right.
hands down. So if I ever actually have moon money, I'll be knocking your door and be like, okay, you still want to do this, right? Man,
110% yes.
man. Okay, so that's really cool. Yeah, and you were saying that like you sound like you've had a lot of like youth player integrations in general up to date. So this seems to like bridge, youth to senior and everyone in between. Um, but
Exactly.
but how did you? So you pay on your hobby interests now to like the younger generation, right? You run a lot of youth games.
Oh yes, in fact, so running for Aero Hobbies, which is right down the street from Sony, the studio that makes God of War, and so I have this weird dichotomy where I have both a digital life trying to support Sony and all the things that they're doing, and an analog life at the same time. It felt weird at times, going like, "Go play the next game" and such, and then the kids like, "Don't play those, no, no,
Don't
no,
play
no.
those. No.
You want dice instead." And what ended up happening was that we were doing encounters on Wednesday nights from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and a couple of kids were coming in, and this is school night. And I'm going like, "What are you guys doing? I love your dedication, but the girls are getting upset because the kids are in the way. The kids are getting upset because they don't get to do anything because the parents don't get out of the way." And I'm like, "All right, all right. Adult Swim Wednesdays, kids get Saturday.
Okay.
With the moms here, free daycare, Santa Monica, this place."
Uh,
We went from having the first week of signups to having 5 kids to almost 70 in 3 weeks. And
70.
this store, for anyone who's ever seen Aero Hobbies, is about the size of a living room that looked like a bunch of product just exploded into, and nobody wanted to put it away. So we started having to do this whole system and things like that. I started recruiting some of my minions that I've had for a while to help me run Dungeon Master games and things like that. And then it got to the point where it's like we were running 3 games on Saturday, a morning game, an afternoon game, and an evening game for the kiddos, and that was not enough at 7 kids per team.
Oh man.
And so the parents were starting to get like a little snippy with me. It was like, "Well, I've been here since the beginning. I should make a priority." I'm like, tell you what, we'll have this whole sign up thing. First come, first serve. These are the dates. You have me and 3 other guys. Let's go.
Man, so I
And
see a
then
picture here of Aero Hobbies. Man, you were running it for real with 70 kids cycling through there. Woo!
right, but that means want to go there. And obviously, the owner Keith, I love him as well as Shanti, with the providers and stuff like that, and the little dog Barley too. She was amazing and such. And yeah, it was chaos incarnate, and me being part of facilities. What we do is we take chaos and actually make it workable. And so we did. We started doing splinter groups and things like that. This was about as early as 2008.
Hmm.
2009 is the first one. The reason why I mention that is the first kids from that group are now in college, are now getting married, and
Wow.
now starting to have kids of their own. And I'm going like,
Wow.
no, 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 you're too
Dude,
young.
can you imagine if they hire you to run games for their kids? They'll be your second generation adventuring party.
I should mention that. So this Wednesday is actually the third generation of brothers that I've been running for
Oh
the
man.
last 10 years now, 8 years now.
Man.
Yeah. So it started with the oldest brother, and now the middle child wanted to have their own games, and now the youngest one, who's only like 8 years old, wants to do what his brothers did. I'm going like, let's go.
The whole family, RT's an institution. Look. But that's really cool, man. Like you're affecting a lot of people coming into the hobby and just like in general for kids to get this kind of like enrichment, right? And it's
Yeah,
always a cliche to say like, oh, well, they're learning math and reasoning and socializing. And it's true, but it's like it's always missing the magic of it to where it's like, I don't know, when I was a kid and getting into nerdy things, it's like it goes beyond that because it's like enabling in a weird way. Like beyond just like, oh yeah, like when I'm a kid, I don't care about learning math, but I care about my magic deck and my mana curves suddenly when I'm a young kid,
go ahead.
or like D&D where I'm like trying to figure out like how my spells work or trying to interact with people, and you learn a lot of like negotiating too. It's like I want to do this spell, and the GM's like no, or the party member's like save that for this time. I don't know. I just think there's a ton of value to that. So you're literally
Yeah.
making the world a better place, one party at a time.
And yet, I always reminded of like how I felt whenever I have new kids come in at that age of going like, I don't know what this is, what's going on, what do I need, and it's taken all these years for me to figure out that I've slowly become the person I needed back then to be able to get these kids into the group and such. And because as a kid, I could not put my Game Boy down. Everywhere I was always playing something. I got to the point my dad, when he was flipping houses, how I learned most of the trade skills, would drive out to Alhambra to pick up lumber, and then we load the truck and such. And he goes, "Great, how do we get back home?" I'm like,
I didn't look up, father. What do you what do you mean? Did you have that
like,
old
like,
fun problem of looking at your Game Boy at night between the light passing?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a special core
Yeah,
memory for a lot of Game Boy users.
yep. Mine was just a flashlight in the living
Yeah.
room, going like,
Yep. Stay away. I'm playing. So wait, I
and
have
it's
to I have to ask on that. Is like, what was your favorite picks for Game Boy?
oh, always the Final Fantasy series,
Okay.
specifically Sword of Mana. Well, originally what we known as yeah, the Secret of Mana series. It was a Final Fantasy Adventure for the original Game Boy. I still have it in my room too. So I've lost my original Game Boy because they all died out and such. But
Yeah.
that one holds a special place in my heart because it was the one I got to finish first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a milestone. First Game Boy game. Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a lot. That's some core stuff going on there. So you run a lot of games for kids, and then I guess like we obviously reached out to you to run some games, which you were already well versed at the time because we had a mix of some GMs that were like, yeah, I do like some pickup games for randoms, but not as much as experience that you might have had to this point, right? Because you were working at stores, running games before they became a norm at stores. It sounds like
Yes. Yes.
in
That's
in
how.
the cradle, essentially, the cradle of the hobby once it became a business itself, right? Because Wizards of the Coast and whatnot. So yeah, no, that's impressive stuff.
I could literally I remember there's a few emails we had questions on some of the literature in the books. And I was able to send a company email to the right person, the designer, going like, "Hey, what do they mean by this?" And a couple of days later, I get an email back, and they're like, "Oh, except yeah, here you go."
That probably helped them in future editions too.
I miss that connection. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot harder now, I imagine. Like they've gone like into the stratosphere as far as interest, right? Which has to be a little surreal sometimes. Like, do you ever just stop and realize like how far it's come and like your time in this hobby, but it's I don't know, it's a little bit more than just a normal hobby, right? Because
yeah,
it is really community driven. Like some hobbies just aren't, right? Like I build model planes, right? And then it's like, well, you can go fly planes and all with other people, but this is like you need other people to play. Like but from that
yeah.
time it's like, do you ever just stand in awe of like where it is now?
Sometimes, especially when it comes to the younger ones, because they're adapting quickly. And the one schools that I have a lot of the kids come from and such, they actually have to sign waivers to limit the amount of tech time they have to
Mm.
either like a few hours a week or like none at all.
Oh
And
wow.
so I can feel that these kids are like grasping for everything that's on YouTube, and I need to find a way to make it so that it's not like something to like take the place of, because nothing can ever take the place of like internet and things like that, because it
Yeah.
is vast, it is wild, it's crazy out there.
Mhm.
But something for them to kind of chew on and such. And so I give them like starter kits on like how to make their dungeons, how to write the stories and such. And
Mm.
some of the stuff they come up with is like there's one of the gals.
Mhm.
This would have been like 6 years ago. She is the younger sister of one of the kids we were playing and such. And of course, she's like watching, and like my games, there's no watchers. You help roll the dice for the monsters, or you help be a player against the monsters.
Got to
There's no way.
contribute.
And she's like, okay, fine, I'll play. And I gave her like a sheet of paper drawing a character and such. And the entire time we're playing, doing different things and such, the entire back of the character she's slowly filling up. I'm going like, Sana, what do you have back there and such? And she has this whole thing where she wanted to make a hotel for all the monsters her brother and the rest of his friends are defeating.
Oh,
So how they can help out. I'm going
that's
like,
super sweet though.
and it was hilarious too, because a couple years later I ended up hearing about this TV show or like animation about this demon that's trying to find like all these has-beens.
Oh,
Going
has
there,
been
and like,
hotel, right?
how did you? So
Yep.
she has a bright future in front of her. So
Yeah, sounds like you got a creative writer there, which is absolutely lovely. Like she wouldn't have, like imagine if she never really had the opportunity to start that and get praised for it, because a lot of the skills that we develop comes through like you do a thing, you do it well, you get praise, you tend to lean into it more. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
so it's pretty cool. I mean, how I have to ask this question for youth games in general. How do you deal with things like 6-7?
Oh no, I fully go into it. Same thing when it came
There
to
you
lit and everything like that. Because the moment it becomes normalized,
go.
they lose interest.
Yeah, yeah. That's the quickest way to kill like a meme for a kid is just for the old
Yeah.
heads to start using it. That's the way
Because I
to do it.
remember when we started doing it, like lit was a thing and such. So anytime like any fire damage was being dealt and such, all right, roll me d6. If it's a six, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team are like, oh,
Can't do Davin no more. They evolve quick though. There's probably gonna be a new one really quickly for Gen Alpha for sure. Yeah.
always is, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like for them, it's got to be interesting because the media consumption that we had like early internet, pre-internet was like magazines, books, TV, which were kind
Mhm.
of released at like a steady pace. Like you didn't have everything at your fingertips. The new generation now, GMing for them or them becoming GMs has to be nuts because like they have like the keystone of knowledge always in their hand, right? Like man, that's gotta be nuts GMing for them too because they just have so many touch points for stuff.
There is, in fact, there was one, another sister. Her older sister was part of the other group and such. So this is what said of the other group. That this group, for whatever reason, anything I tried to come up with a plot, they're like, "Oh, called it. He's the bad guy. Oh no, that's the main villain. Oh yeah, the treasure's gonna be over there." I'm like,
No, they know the tropes. That's too much power. That's that's too much power. We got to surprise him with that. Man,
which
that's
is fine because I
crazy.
finally got the last laugh because this little one, I actually got to sign up for robotic courses,
Hmm.
the same courses I took back when I was her age.
Ah, heck yeah.
And so she's now having to deal with like servos, capacitors, and things like that. And it's finally getting her to go like, fine.
She knows the inner workings. A little artificer.
Yep.
Man,
Yeah,
no,
she
that's
is.
really cool. So next question I basically have is the leading into now. So we're going into D20 2026 in April. Last year, I remember you brought like a pamphlet, which was really cool because it was thematic. Like the players were going on a vacation to a resort island, if I remember correctly. It was like a trifold.
Yes, it was. And I don't have them here. I didn't print out fresh ones.
Mm.
So this year is the return to. So of course everything gets damaged and stuff like that. Originally got the whole idea by listening to Plastic Beach and how it's just like a accumulation of all of this junk in the in the ocean.
Mm.
So my version of the island is all the discarded magic items in the astral sea. They just kind of just put them together.
Oh, that's cool.
If you go like clamming or digging or something like that, you can come across a magic item, and the deeper you go, the older the addition of that magic item is.
Oh, that makes sense. The layers, like layers of sediment. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Has anyone fallen into a bag of holding? Like just suddenly thwomp.
No, not yet, but I had an entire boss be defeated because one of the characters, this is last game, last cruise and such, they happened to pull out Jin armor and put it on right before they got hit by a blast of lava.
Oh man.
And they were doing like lava angels and going like,
Disappointing for the big bad, that's for sure. Yeah. Have you seen the anime Gachiatica, I think it's called? Gachigatica? It's an anime where it's basically like there's a world called the Sphere that dumps trash to the world below, kind of deal. If you like
oh,
anime, to check that one out because it's got some of those vibes. Maybe for our audience, you could find some inspiration. For the young kids, maybe not because they know everything.
at this point, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because that reminds me of Battle Angel Alita has that same trope as well, where they originally find her basically carcass,
Yeah.
and she's an android and such, from the skies of Tefrius as they're being like discarded all the waste and such, and this doctor finds her, brings her back, and finds this whole story and stuff like that.
That's right.
But yeah, there's always something going on with the trash may be trash to some, but it's treasure to others as well.
But I've never seen it in a magical sense, so I really like the concept. Like the farther they go, like it's more just older edition stuff. Like the only way to pull that off is if you understand like the older editions to add stuff in. I mean, you could probably now if you're like a new GM, but yeah, like all the stuff behind you is in here, so that's a lot of reading to catch up on if you're a new GM for sure.
Yeah, and
I,
I just had the benefit of being there for most of the publications of these adventures, so and
hmm.
that definitely helped a lot when it comes to like, hey, we're gonna go off the trail to a new adventure. What do you got? I'm like, 1 second.
So I mean, I have to ask for my own inspiration here. Is so out of the D&D stuff, what is your favorite thing they've ever done? Could be a product or like concept,
Hmm.
or your most
Honestly,
favorite setting.
obviously Planescape will always be my home plane. It just
Planescape.
for some reason the whole collection of all these monsters
Mhm.
getting together, can't use magic, but having to deal with all the other problems that come along with plane hopping and gate cities and stuff like that will always be up there.
Mm.
But honestly, the moment things started to become three-dimensional is when things really took off for me. Because before it was always the vinyl map, but I still have my original vinyl map back when I worked at Wizards and
Oh
such.
wow.
I have my old keychain lanyard still attached to it and such for like old memories. But it is over 20 years old now, so
It's
I
turned
try
into a
not to take
relic.
yeah, it is. I try not to take it out very often because of like how old it is, and I notice like some of the wet races come up as much as it used to and such.
Mhm.
But ever since I got into, I guess it was a Dwarven Forge when they did their Dwarvenite stuff, the
Oh yeah.
finished rubber. That's when I noticed I started doing a lot more games at a bunch of different stores because the way that I ran to Jay is that I was local coordinator for fifth edition because they sent out the whole call for basically we need people, Pedals community, teach new games and such. I'm like, I may have a hand in that. And Jay was actually replacing Arthur Seritz as the regional coordinator for all the West Side.
Mm.
So that's how we got to meet and got to interact with a few. Also, that's how I met Jimmy as well too.
Oh cool.
Yeah, because Rich was actually working for the group and such, and
Yeah.
also Robert as well. And so like a lot of the people I go, oh, I remember, hey,
I know you. I know you. Yeah, we harvested hard from your community for sure. No, that's super
and
awesome.
yeah, and so what I was doing and such as the coordinator, I'll go out to different stores and train the dungeon masters on how to run adventures by running the adventures before anybody else got a chance to. So if they had any questions,
Oh
how
wow.
to improv and things like that. And these guys had it good because I would actually print out the full like modules. I would bind them as well, so they had like things I could keep with them afterwards.
Oh man, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, and then what I would do would carry around the entire like suitcase of these dwarven tiles, which I still use to this day for the kids, and we use to set up all the dungeons, interactions, and such. And the moment it goes from two-dimensional to three-dimensional, you just see the players go, "Oh, that." Something clicks in their head, and
Yeah.
it all of a sudden becomes like you're there.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, what I was doing, because everyone was trying to do virtual tabletops and things like that with computer screens and such, I was actually using this setup, and I actually would get like a tripod camera mount, and actually will put it among the dwarven tiles, and have the kids go like, "This is what you see. What do you guys want to do?" And
Okay.
I would hide monsters behind like different areas, and go like, "Okay, I'll roll a perception check. Oh, it's pretty good. You actually can see a little bit more." And I'll move it, and you see like the tail end of like an owlbear or a dragon or whatever they're up against. And they're like, "Wait, hey, guys!" You'll tell the rest of the party and such, and just like playing the like the old video games where you just have the screen in front of you. You walk a little forward, you maybe move the camera angle a little bit back and forth, and they were doing it in real life, in real time.
That's cool. Man, I wonder if you could do that now. You get like a really mini camera, like mini sized in perspective, and that's how you run it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
First
this little one
person.
with little camera. Where
Oh,
is
so it
that?
was small enough to actually just put right down there? Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. So it really
It's like,
was, yeah, like you said, the video game where it's like a Doom kind of game.
yep.
No, that's really awesome there. So aside from the D&D stuff, what other systems like really like do you like to like jump to? Like to a palate cleanser perhaps?
Um, okay, so probably my biggest secret, because they always mention with being dungeon master, you steal from everything, you just don't get caught. Uh, for the longest amount of time for Dungeons and Dragons, the reason why my stories have been so captivating, I'm not writing them as D&D stories. I've been writing them as the World of Darkness stories instead. So I've been
Okay.
using, well, was it Werewolf, the Apocalypse, especially all things from Mage Ascension and Vampire interlinked with how they tell their stories.
Hmm,
Because that soon after playing Dungeons and Dragons, that's what
social.
in high school what they were showing me and what they were getting into, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" We've been playing Wraith was just so fascinating because you have the person literally on your left being your darker side, going, "Do it, do it, do it, do it," constantly.
Do it. Do it. That's super cool. You know, it's so interesting hearing how much World of Darkness influenced a lot of you here, and it's like it's a shame it kind of like doesn't hold a candle like popularity wise now as far as like an audience. But the same thing with me. My first RPG was Werewolf of the Apocalypse in middle school. So like it really was like it was a really popular thing for the audience that got really into it, and now it
Mhm.
sucks like the IP's kind of trailed off. I was so hoping the video games would pop off, like the MMO that they were supposed to be making and all this, but
Yeah,
I hope for
there was
uh,
revival.
revival. Yes, thank you. Need more sleep in my
There
life.
was even because I know at the time is because I had a lot of fun writing this one well. So there was a couple like crossovers I used to do for Wizards and Dungeons and Dragons. My favorite one was like the one that got into third edition was the whole Diablo 2 setting.
Mm.
But there was a crossover between World of Darkness and AD&D as well called Ankle,
Oh,
where basically you were either human, used D&D stats, you were in one of these angles with an E, with some of that, where you get to use some of the powers that they used out of the World of Darkness series, and you're trying to fight this host of like bugs that were infesting and corrupting everything at the same time. And such. And I thought it was such a neat concept. And then with me, I'm going like, all right, if I could do this dragon dice, what else can I do this with?
that's true.
Like,
You learned from an early age. Just mash it up. We got a question for Frank. He said, "What's a good way to bring a game back to life if you feel it's not going as planned?"
um, two ways. One, sometimes I would do like the harsher method is to use the demon voice and go like, "Hey, you guys forgot about this one little plot point. What are you guys gonna do about it?" Kind of take them out of the game and such.
Hmm.
The other option is a little bit more insidious.
Hmm. Hmm.
The thought is if you're in the gladiatorial arena and one door leads to your freedom, one door leads to a fight with a tiger. No matter which door you open, it's gonna be that tiger.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I've heard that advice once before for not necessarily the encounters itself, but like people are like, oh man, I spent so much time making a map and they didn't go to this region, and then people on like the DM Academy on Reddit would be like, just move the dungeon to it. Like they go through the other path, that dungeon is now there, right? But it's all
Mm-hmm.
part of the smoke and mirrors. Frank said,
Yep.
"Lol, love it." So Frank is starting to GM for his two daughters, right? Like this,
Uh,
was it Battle Barge? He went back with minis and they started doing like an undead campaign. So I guess
awesome.
leads me to a question to help him out. He hasn't asked this, but like when you're GMing for kids, what's like fundamentally different about running the games for them to keep them engaged?
Pets.
Pets, interesting.
Pets.
Pets.
Pets. No matter how many times I end up trying new games for kids, the same question always resides. When can I get a dragon and what powers does it have? And back in my head, I'm going like, you don't want a dragon. You really don't want a dragon. Because out they shell, they're smarter than you, and they know how to push your buttons and
Dragons are
work you
jerks,
around.
man.
Oh, yes, they are. There was a cast on something.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah. Frank said light bulb,
And
thank you.
but I can then use this carrot of a pet, whether it be dragon or other and such, to get kids motivated to do certain things.
Hmm.
So if I need them to actually work together and actually be friends, I'll be like, okay, you know what? There's a good chance that this individual may actually have a clutch of dragon eggs for you if you're willing to help them out and such. And all of a sudden they're like, we're 100% in. Just go.
Sold, fam. Give me that dragon. Yeah. No, that's super cool. That's interesting. It's interesting because it's like you're already playing your own little character that's basically a pet, but by they're embodying their character that's them, so they
Mhm.
still want a pet on top of it.
Mhm.
It's like, child, do you
Mhm.
understand this is more math you are presenting into your life?
There was one game where like each kid had it went on a full on Pokemon scale where each kid I actually told them you could only bring 6 with you. But
Six
if they're
generous.
not if they're not in their quote unquote Pokeballs, they are subject to attacks, they're subject to splash damage. If you get fireball, they're gonna get roasted. And the kids were like on it. Like fireproof dragon is the one that comes out. We're like
The safe ones they
ultimate.
leave out. Yeah. Yeah, the ones that that still need to level, they keep them in the Pokeball. Heck yeah, no, that's good wisdom to share right there. So pets, that was not the answer I was expecting, but makes
Mm-hmm.
like a tremendous amount of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of
I mean,
players that like that in general, just like, hey, I'm gonna play a ranger specifically because I want a pet.
yeah. I had this one kid who literally bum rushed an entire like flotilla of orcs to save one squirrel. I'm going like, yeah, this works. It totally works. You guys
Yep,
want to
jump,
follow him?
dive on in. Yeah, Saki Thomas said works for adults too. Don't ask me how I know.
I mean, this is true. Yes, if something is cute and cuddly, whether it has fur or not is not the question, but whether or not how many of them can you get
Yeah, yeah.
is the answer.
Little collecting game. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So I mean, like realistically, Wizards, if you ever see these interviews, like you need a whole expansion just on that, and you'll make a killing, right? Like
Yeah,
they'll do
yeah.
so well. I mean, most of GM's modded in anyways, it seems, right?
In fact, actually, there's one I picked up not so long ago from Asmodeus Games. What was it? It's like Kittens and Dungeons or something like that.
Gets
I
it
don't
done.
have to find it. It's very cute. It's very adorable and such. It is very like fifth edition light, but it does have like a very interesting premise that I'm starting to use with the kids now. So they have normal combat where you use weapons and stuff like that. They call it a fight of claw, and then they also have a fight of fangs as well, where you're just trying to intimidate each other. Like the whole thing when animals hiss and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You're able to actually scare them out of combat if that goes well enough. Again, I'm looking at going like, that's good. That's really
That's
good.
good. I'm gonna take that. Mine, yeah. The best part, it's interesting about that because like I forgot where I was reading it, but it was an analysis on like why Wizards of the Coast sometimes struggle because they're always trying to push like buy this book, buy this module, and like wondering like why aren't people playing in the settings? And then the surveys are like 90% of the GMs are just like corpse carting anything they can out of your books and bringing it back to their games. Yeah, it makes sense then to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
sick
and
there.
that's the reason why I collect so many board games is just for the mechanics they offer sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Especially some of the modern board games are getting very TTRPG like, right? They're getting big. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not it's not the days of Monopoly anymore. That's for sure.
No, no,
Yeah, it's a role
which
play on
I'm
its own.
grateful for because even then I actually got a request by one of the moms going like, "Oh, you play Catan? Can you teach the boys?" So I'm like,
Yeah,
Star Trek set, let's go.
yeah. Star Trek Ahead. Yeah, and build it into like part of the D&D campaign. Like you're doing village management now. This is the mini
Yeah.
game we're gonna play in between. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. On that note, aside from like TTRPGs and stuff, what other hobbies or games like really recharge your battery when you need to step away from the TTRPGs? If you do, sometimes that may be like the sole battery charger.
I mean, it's been a both. When I get to run games that I get to run and such, although it is hilarious, most of my friends had to actually tell me there are no kids around for me to swear again.
You're like unlike most people where we like have to remember, oh shit, there's kids around. I need to stop cursing to like, oh, I'm around adults.
Even then, I tell the kids like they're free to curse around me under one condition: that the curses are well warranted and they're not cursing for cursing's sake.
Mm.
And a few of them actually get to take it to heart and they go like, "I respect that." And I'm like, "Cool,
I
yeah."
respect.
Hoping you'll use like
Yeah,
what you
you game rules to it. Yeah, that's
But
pretty tough.
usually just hanging out with my friends, playing all sorts of whatever board game I just bought or got off Kickstarter is usually how I recharge all my batteries. And go like, "Hey, it's a brand new game. Let's go play."
Okay, yeah, something new to jump into.
Yeah, and that also Magic the Gathering usually is my big one. We will play Commander because years ago I could not be trusted playing blue anymore.
Oh man, had I known
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
a
bad.
blue player.
Oh, yes, this is like back during like the Ursa cycle too. So artillery academies were flying everywhere and such,
Oh
and they
man.
actually outlawed me for playing blue for one full year. I'm like, fine. So they got me to learn all the other different colors and combinations, and they were like, fine, you can use blue. Just be nice about it. Like, okay.
He's about it. So
It's
blue's favorite color's mono, or do you do any mixes as your preferred favorite now?
actually I used to play with all the colors because it was the whole. I would challenge kids back at Wizards of the Coast because we used to get a free box every month for working there and such.
Wow.
Yeah, I miss the old Wizards stores and such. In fact, I still have the Magic Gathering sign in my window too, which I'll show you guys later. I think it's huge. It's almost as tall as me. What we do is actually we'll bring different decks, and then we have the solid colors, the allied colors. This is before Ravnica too, and the opposed double colors and such. And I'll tell kids choose your poison,
Pick who you
and then
want to
I'll
fight.
test them on each run. If they can get a game in on me and such, they'll get one booster pack. Two
Okay.
games, they'll get three booster packs. Because again, I got these booster packs for free back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
If you manage to do all three games, I'll give them a stack of booster packs for them to open up.
You literally gave him like a Mortal Kombat like challenge tier. That's sick.
Oh yeah, kids are loving it.
I mean, that's super cool. They got prizes out of it, and they got a little bit of a challenge. Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
that's what's
mm-hmm.
up. So,
So
okay, so Magic is a battery recharger. Some of the new games that you got at Kickstarter. I guess I have to ask on that is like, what's one of the board games that you got either recently that you're like, wow, this is really, really legit, like one of my favorites. Can't be Scrabble.
There's a few.
There's a few.
Because there's a few that are great with the kids. Brotherwise, there's like wonderful group of games. Both Call to Adventure and Overboss are really good for kids up to the age of like 13. Because Overboss is like a tile placement game where you have to build your own evil layer as a villain. And then Call to Adventure, we actually use that to build up their backstories for the kids. Because a lot of times kids have no idea what they want their backstories to be, and we use that as well. For my grown-up friends,
Call Adventure, I've seen that, yeah.
That's a good question, actually. It varies from like how crunchy the group is. Because on occasion I will bust out my Tyranids and we'll play a few rounds of like 3rd or 4th edition Warhammer and such, because that's when I start playing. Otherwise we'll do things like oh, that's a good question. We'll do like
well, what's the one that you like would love to pull out? Like, let's say your friends didn't care about crunchy, no crunchy. Like, if you had your way, what would you be pulling out like pretty much consistently? Good, yes. Evil Dead 2, the board game? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we got going on here. Evil Dead 2 game. Oh yeah, I see the box here. Nice.
It is a good mix, and then because one of the mechanics is that you're dealt out 2 cards. One, it could be a human card or a Deadite card, but they're face down. So it has the mechanic from Betrayal and House of Haunted Hill, where you don't know who the actual bad guy of the game is when you start.
Oh man!
But in phrases, they can choose to reveal one of the cards, or you can force someone to show a card, and if they show a Deadite, they turn to the evil version of them, and now it's a game of them chasing after you.
Oh man! So it has the hidden kind of like Super Werewolf in a board game as well. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Oh,
and then it has miniatures, and you're trying to play like this like almost like any zombie game, like a first-person shooter, where you're like trying to block off entrances, trying to funnel them in certain locations so you get beat them down before they become overwhelming, while trying to do certain story events at the same time. There's a lot going on, but I'm just looking at it going like, oh, this is great. This will keep me out there for hours.
Yeah, that's so many mechanics in there for that. So if you had to put a TTRPG system overlay into an Evil Dead like setting campaign, what would you use?
Ooh, that was a good one.
It is interesting too, because systems like lean into setting sometimes.
I would.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got them.
Because I can see a lot, because especially when you 5th editions rundown such, there's enough for like to be a monster being up that's fine and all. There's a couple of instances of like areas where Daggerheart will definitely show, especially when it comes like the evil versus good aspects of the individuals. I almost want to actually, I would have to even bring back some of the things from the tri-set system, because of just like how niche you could make the characters. And like how much fun they could have with them, which would turns into a totally not just Army of Darkness, but like anime Army of Darkness. And you can actually have.
What system was it? You said tri-set?
Yeah, Tri-Stat, also known as Big Eyes, Small Mouth.
Tri-Stat system. Tri-Stat system. Okay, so this would be your pick to skin with Evil Dead. So it says here, it's a popular, flexible, and rules-light generic role-playing game from Guardians of Order, known for its body, mind, and soul stats. Used in games Big Eyes, Small Mouth. Yeah, there we go. And Absolute Power. Okay. Okay, 3 stats on that. Okay, so is it like, even though it says 3 stats here, is it a little bit more rules heavy? Or is it just like rules light abstraction?
It can be. That's the one thing I like about it and such, is that it's modular and such, because I know individuals love like Power of the Apocalypse and things like that. I haven't got a chance to experiment too much of that and such. I'm pretty sure those will also be a good fit with this as well, or even like 12 Candles, which would be perfect because it's a horror game with another horror game, which is like the perfect mashup.
Yeah.
But after running so many different games with that system, it's just like that's still like in the back of my head sometimes, and I would use mechanics from that in like active D&D games, and people are like, "Where did that come from?"
Don't you worry about it. All right, I got one more. We're already going over time, but I got one more question because I have to know after digging into this. So you just got me going here. So like, if you had that Moon money again, you already got your mall, and you had to take any IP, movie, show, book, one you create on your own that you can explain in like an elevator pitch, what would you make into the next TTRPG system? God, and then I guess follow-on question: is it D20, D100 system, or what kind of system you got going on there? And then I swear I'll stop.
I mean, I'll take all the time you give me. This is what I do. I always mention to the parents, I am a time vampire. There's not a portrait of me getting older somewhere. It's the kids. They get older. I stay the same
You're
age.
just like a pyramid scheme of like youth. That's
And so the moms are
keeping
like, already stopped and they're going up too fast. I'm like,
your first generation kids. They already look like they're in their 50s. Like a little bit. Okay, so
no.
IP. Any IP you want that you're a fan of that you just think would work really well, and then the kind of system that would be adapted to it.
I mean, because I forever will always be a fan of like the Final Fantasy series, which is ironic because that entire series is born out of D&D originally. There's other like nuances with like live plays and recording and stuff like that, especially with the whole Record of Lawless Wars and how they made Sword World and whatnot. That's a whole deep dive that we'll save for another episode. But for IPs, I don't know, because a lot of the stuff that I would like to see is already being turned into them between the Cthulhu series, which I also a big fan as well. There's a bunch of fourth, fifth, and seventh edition on my shelves as well. RuneQuest is up there as well. Really big into the Fallout series recently because of the TV show. And
So good.
There's also Fallout, both miniature game and role playing game as well. They already did Dark Heresy for Warhammer and such. I was like another thing I was into and such.
Love it.
I don't. You know what? Probably the one that I would love to see revival, which would be awkward because of how the movies exist, if they actually got a chance to actually do a full-on Tron.
Okay. That would be interesting. Yeah. I could see them. I'm surprised that they don't actually now, because you mentioned like all the IPs that are getting turned into it, and Tron had a bit of a revival on the movie set. But they don't have a Tron TTRPG. That has to be around the corner, right? Like,
I mean, unfortunately, after seeing Ares, I'm like, I can see why they're like back in the can.
It's trailing back. It's like we'll see it in another 20, 30 years, I guess.
Right. But it was like one of the things that was just like it from the original movie and such. There were rules set in place. So obviously, like, and this is why I tell like a lot of kids reason why like video games don't hit the same way that role playing games do, is because there's a script you have to follow in every single video game, and it's hard to go off script at a time because you literally have to break the system in order to do that. Although Dot Hack did a great job of that series, but more of that. But with role-playing games and stuff like that, it's like there's clear lines of rules that are in play, and the whole premise is that you're supposed to go off script onto the grid and make all this stuff up as you go along. And it's one of the things like even like talking about the films and stuff like that. It's like, why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do this? And we just came up with like, we don't know. Maybe the dice didn't roll that way when they're thinking of it, because it's usually binary. It's either a yes answer or a no answer. There's no in between. But the movies, because of the users, show that there's always answers in between. They're always messing things up.
The gray between the binary. Did you see? There's I recently saw this like maybe 2 days ago. There's like a Tron cycling game that's top down, and it's a PvP mode. So like watching people play it, I would lose instantly. But it's like the motorcycles are moving super fast, and you're trying to cut off your opponent. So it's a lot of people going like really quick and using their WASD or their keypad to try and get around each other. It's insane. If you like Tron, you got to check it out. It's mesmerizing to watch, but like I can't imagine like the speed at which you're reacting, because like there was a guy that I was watching where, you know, one person trying to cut him off and he's like square, 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 loop back around, come back. Yeah, it was insane. Definitely check that out.
Yeah. It reminds me when VR first came out, they started doing like Beat Saber instead of like DDR, which I still miss. And it's like you're watching and stuff like that, and you're without the visuals interlaced of what's going on and such, you're just like, okay,
it's hilarious to watch someone without it.
But when you actually see what's in their VR system and how they're going back, I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing! I want to do that.
Yeah, we got on GakuCon. We usually take a VR headset and we put a Beat Saber on like one of the TVs. And there's a guest who's a friend of ours, Christian. That's a guy. He's a pharmacist. So like every day, like wears khakis, very straight laced. He gets on Beat Saber. Yeah, I should bring it on D20. Is that what you're saying?
No, but I'm saying look on the boat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The swaying of the boat. No problem. It's just hard mode. That's all. But this guy, like super unassuming, gets on there and like maxes like hard mode. He looks like he's raving every 5 seconds on there. It's amazing for that. With some of the people's skills. Yeah. So Christian, if you do see this, rad. Keep it up. Keep doing love your energy, which is good, I guess. Here. before I start to turn 50 from you, your portrait aging for you. Um, is there anything that you want to like shout out or last call for information if people can find you in an area for your more nuggets of wisdom? And like
Um,
afterwards, I guess I will need when you have time, send me some of your resources for learning. We're trying to make like a collected like blog off of that.
which is hilarious because that's literally what the parents have been asking me recently and such. Because again, that weird juxtaposition of both digital life, analog life, and also working at an anime store. A lot of conversations around Naruto and Bleach has come up recently. I'm going like,
Really? Huh.
all right, yeah, I can teach you anything you want about that. But
Naruto Bleach. Man.
and so yeah, so the parents have actually been hammering at me to actually put together another resource similar to this as well, but for all the kids because again, they only have such limited time on their screens, so they want to make sure they're maximizing all that they can.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, here you go.
Hey, here's your
But yeah, something like that. But for shoutouts and stuff like that, I just all the DMs out there in the world that are making it happen, where they're like stressing out whether or not this is gonna be like the right build and such. Take a deep breath, enjoy the moments. And like the one piece of advice I'll give every other DM out there, if you're like looking to inspire one, you've been doing it for years and such, just remember to have fun with it. Your players will always pick up when you stop having fun with the adventure.
Man, I need
And
to
if they're
internalize
not,
that.
yeah, if they're not having fun, you're not going to have fun, and it becomes this vicious cycle. Nobody's going to have fun, and we don't want any of that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it. And we got Zombie also asked because I think Zombie kicked off this request, and we're like, oh, this is a great idea. So when you have a chance to send those like blogs, and then she said podcast recommendations. So mostly just things that people can like listen to or read. Aside from the wisdom that they should listen to the loop, there is have fun, jump into the game. The players are there with you as well. Yeah, I need to internalize that. I was just complaining to Fu like I've been wanting to play the 40k Imperium Maledictum system, like, and I GM too. It's actually my preferred way of playing, but I always start new systems like I can't do this yet until I know all the rules, and then I get all stressed about it. So I'm gonna try and echo the words of RT that you have heard here, the sage wisdom.
If I could make Dragon Dice work with AD&D and those tables,
Just do it. Yeah, that. Yeah, Saki Thomas said just do it. Yeah, I gotta remember it. You did it with Dragon Dice and D&D, so that's the great pick me up that I hear and appreciate that shout into the void here, and we're gonna try to echo that. So, man, thank you so much for the time. It's always fun. I love learning from you guys. I love chatting, and everyone here that's able to make it every week. We're gonna post the video up and we'll put it onto the site as well. Yeah, if you like what's going on here, and we're gonna keep doing it. But of course, like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Share it if you can. Bring in some new people, and we're just gonna keep trying to mine these gems out from the world and share their wisdom. Saki Tama said RT is the best, and no, I'm not biased. There we go. You heard it here. Well, thank you. Thanks, man. So, everyone, we shall catch you later. I got to go do math with the crew on getting 2026 squared away. We usually do our meetings at 9:30. Well, 9:30 if Fu and Frank are hearing this. All right, let me kick this off. I got to find buttons here, so we have a few more minutes.